Um, as I said, my son's not here this week. He's working on other projects, so it's just me. Just me. I have a lot of updates for you for the weekly war roundup. Lots of things have happened. I'm just picking some pieces because there's just a lot. Also, I'm going to be talking about the update on the Holy Sepulchre as well. There's some information on that. So let me get started with kind of giving you an overview. I'm going to start by what happened this week. I'm going to give you a clip from Larry Johnson, and that was when he was on Danny Davis's show earlier this last week, just to get you guys caught up on that. And then we'll go from there. So let's see.
On the 12th of March, there started a massive airlift from U.S. Special Operations military bases around the United States from 12 March until the 23rd. So over those 11 days, there were 35 C-17 flights going from the United States, 2 bases in Jordan and 1 base in Israel. Where were they flying from? Well, they went to Hunter Army Air Base in Georgia. That's home to an element of Task Force 160, the Night Stalkers. And it's also home to the 75th Ranger Regiment, 1st Battalion. Those flights, several flights from there. When you realize a C-17 can hold only 104 soldiers at combat, kitted out for combat, so if you got 4 flights, maybe 2 of those taking 200 of those soldiers, at least a company element or a couple of companies. They go to the Joint Base Lewis McChord, again, the major base for the 75th Rangers. And that's the 2nd Battalion of the 75th, I believe. Going to Fort Bragg, home Delta Force, 82nd Airborne. Flying out of Oceana Air Station. Gee, who's there? Dam Neck, Virginia, SEAL Team 6, and you've got all the East Coast SEAL teams, the SEAL Teams 2, 4, 8, 10. Another flight's Fort Campbell, Kentucky. That is the headquarters for the Special Operations Air Regiments, also known as the Night Stalkers, Task Force 160. In my experience, when you see this kind of deployment, it can only be one of 2 things. It's an exercise, or it's an actual mission. I don't see this as an exercise, and the fact that it looks like they're bringing in both SEAL Team 6 and Delta Force, by themselves, those are just they're not an assault force. They're good at rescuing hostages, that kind of thing, but somehow they're getting activated. But they're being accompanied by the 75th Rangers, and I recall in all the exercises that I scripted, when it involved either Delta or SEAL Team 6, you always involved the Rangers. At minimum they go in and seize an airfield, and accompany that, and then you got the 82nd. So it looks to me like what's happening, that 5-day, so that started on March 12th. March 13 was when Trump activated the 31st MU, the Marine Expeditionary Unit. They started setting sail. When do they arrive in theater? Friday or Saturday. Gee, that's right at the end of that 5-day period. The 11th MU is about a week behind. But what one scenario I could see as possible, and because they're bringing in multiple elements of the Special Operations Air Regiment. There's not just one unit. So that tells me they're going to have two vectors of attack at a minimum. And the likely targets would be Karg Island up in the northeast corner of the Persian Gulf, and the Keshem Island, which is right there at the bend of the Strait of Hormuz. This is bad. And then I got a note from a friend of mine who was he was in contact with somebody with Delta Force, one of his friends, and he said, this friend told him, he says, "Look, I heard from two different friends in the SOF community, and that's Special Operations Forces, that a bunch of Tier 1 guys shipped out Thursday night for a major operation, probably an island, to take place by this weekend, and that a lot of people were concerned the op had not been thoroughly thought through and that they'd be badly overexposed." One guy said no effort was made at a blocking force. And he said, "I hope they send a priest along who can last rights us," which is not the kind of talk you usually hear from those types.
Yeah, that's not too comforting, is it? I just wanted to give you that because I think Larry puts out information that's really important on what's happening with our troops. He said these two islands, and I tend to agree with Danny Davis, who says Karg Island may be a distraction so that all eyes are on that, so that the troops can move to another island or another portion or somewhere coast or something, I guess kind of like under somewhat more of a cover because of the distraction. I tend to agree with that. I mean, if you're announcing that you're going to be at Karg Island, that you're going to be trying to go on there, I think it's less likely, but I'm no expert on military affairs. It's just what I think logically makes sense. So that's that portion. Now, he said this, I think it was on last Thursday. And what I understand is that what was the name of that ship that came in with the Marines? I will check. I think it's the next video. Let me check. There's a little portion on it. Oh, actually, the next one is just Danny, and everybody knows this by now because it came out, I think, on Thursday. This is an important addition as well, that the Houthis have joined the war. As far as I know, they haven't quite blocked the area of the Red Sea they wanted to, but I think there's already problems there for ships, as far as I've been watching. And so we're not sure when they're actually going to do anything with that. They are hitting Israel. So we have that. Let me go into that one thing I was going to bring up about the ship. Just going to play this one part.
Meanwhile, the amphibious assault ship USS Tripoli, with 3,500 U.S. Marines on board, has arrived in the Middle East for possible participation in a large-scale ground operation against Iran. By the way, commenting on the arrival of the American Marines, the Iranian newspaper Tehran Times warned the United States of severe consequences, choosing the phrase "welcome to hell" for the title of its article. Moreover, the day before, representatives of the Iranian Security Council officially confirmed that pro-Iranian forces had captured several American soldiers in neighboring Iraq. It is reported that these prisoners of war have already been taken to Iran. Additionally, Tehran announced the destruction of a group of American Marines, attempting to covertly infiltrate Karg Island. Iranian television even showed footage of an interrogation of an American Marine, who was captured alive. It is noteworthy that the U.S. Central Command has not yet officially confirmed or denied the information about the captured American servicemen.
Okay. So he says the ship got there and that the Marines are there doing this. Now, I don't know if that's exactly what's happening. Maybe somebody else has an idea, but about the troops being captured. I don't know if that actually is true because, you never know. There's the fog of war. If anybody else has heard that has happened, let me know. So we have the troops coming in, there's a bunch of them coming in. We have the Houthis now that have come in. We have another important piece that I think you're going to really, well, if you those who are military in here may know this, but may not. I thought this was quite important, and I'm going to bring it up. Let's see. Okay.
So there's that angle. And then, of course, there's been a base attacked in Saudi Arabia. Again, a month in, we're just seeing all of this escalate even further.
This one is particularly interesting, I think, because although there's been loads of attacks in the Middle East, we're not hearing about all of them because the rules are much more strict now about reporting from people's phones. But Prince Sultan Air Base, a really enormous air base, been there before, largely a big hub for US operations. Now, the reason we're hearing about it is 12 US service personnel got injured, 2 quite badly. But the real story is, okay, so what were the Iranians targeting here? And actually, when you strip it all back, it turns out it's these KC-135 tanker aircraft. And for a lot of people watching, they go, hang on a minute, why would you have one of these tanker aircraft? Why are they being targeted? Well, the key is because these are called force multipliers. Because when I was flying my military jets around, they're quite small wings. They've only got about an hour and a half of fuel. And the danger is therefore, you run out of fuel, come home, you've got to turn the whole thing around, service it. If you can stop at a gas station in the sky, plug in, gas and go, and then go on again, you can do 3 or 4 trips on one sortie. And therefore, that's why they're called a force enabler. Now, the challenge is this isn't the first time the Iranians have targeted these. About 5 were damaged on the ground a week or so back. This time, reports suggest that there may be up to 3 of these destroyed on the ground and several others damaged. If, I re-emphasize, if that turns out to be true, this will be the most successful Iranian strike on American air power since the start of the war. So not only does it demonstrate Iran has still had capability to target something on a very well-defended base, but it doesn't look like the actions of a country that's on the verge of surrender.
Okay. Yeah, that's important because if, my dad was military. He was in the Air Force. He was a colonel and a judge. But I used to go to air shows all the time, and I saw lots of airplanes, okay? Not that I ever had that much of an interest in it, to be honest, but air shows were just part of being a military child, okay, on bases. Enjoyable at times, of course, obviously. I really liked to go into the, C5? The really big plane where you get in and it's just huge. It's huge. In any case, these KC-135s, they're strato tankers, okay? So they're the core tanker for the Air Force, Navy, and Marine Corps. They're capable of transferring 200,000 pounds of fuel, okay? So the fact that the Iranians are targeting that is, to me, quite clever and quite smart, because if you take out these, C5 Galaxy, yes. If you take these KC-135s out, then for the Americans, their jets aren't able to fly. It would be good for Iran because they don't really want planes flying over their airspace. I don't know that their air defense is very good. So that would make sense that they would try to do that, in my opinion. The only thing is that you still have the Israeli airplanes flying over. So I'm not really sure about that, but what's happening to Israel right now, Israel, as Larry Johnson said, it's very hard to even do a 2-prong war, okay? Israel is in the midst of a 3-prong, and if you want to count Hamas, a 4-prong war, which is insane. So Israel has been going into Lebanon again, invading Lebanon, doing terrible things over there. And Hezbollah is fighting them. And apparently, historically, Hezbollah usually wins against, otherwise, Lebanon would be already an occupied territory of Israel. But even way back in 1982, when Israel invaded Lebanon, Lebanon still survived, okay? I also heard that the Lebanese army is not really an actual army. It's more of a militia because it's small. Hezbollah is actually more powerful and it seems, the main defenders, I would say. And so that person, I can't remember who it was, I watched so many different things, but had said that actually a lot of the Lebanese military, the militia, the army, have Christians in it. So very interesting, very interesting. And so I found that very interesting. Now, of course, you have, as I said, you have the Lebanon issue, you have Hamas, Gaza issue, you have the Houthis are hitting Israel as well, and then you have Iran hitting. So that's four different countries. But you reap what you sow. If you're the one that started it, then are you too surprised? Well, sometimes when some people get so arrogant, their pride blinds them and they don't realize that anybody could do anything to them. They think that they're impervious. Anyway, that was interesting information, I thought, so I wanted to share it with you. The other thing is this Baltic Sea issue. This Baltic region issue is very important. There are basically ships over there that are, there's NATO and there's Russia, of course. And there are problems with supposedly commercial ships dragging their anchors through the sea to cut cables, optic cables and everything like that, which would mean that you would lose the communication, the internet, and all of that type of communication is being disrupted. It's been going on apparently since 2023. We never see this in our news about what's going on in the Baltic Sea. So I wanted to make sure you understood that this is quite important. NATO seems to be worried about this. There's been hits going on with drones, supposedly from Ukraine. I'm going to show you a piece from Glenn Deason's show that what's his name? Stanislav said on this issue. That's the only reason it came up to my knowing of it, because I did not know this was happening. So let me see also what it said here. The reason why this is important, like I said, it's okay, so that matters because undersea cables are not niche infrastructure. They are part of the nervous system of our modern world. More than 95% of internet traffic travels through undersea cables, and they support an estimated $10 trillion in financial transactions every day. So they move quickly into banking, communications, logistics, and even military coordination. They are a matter of national security. That's why this is so important. And like I said, there's been things going on, but it was mostly coming up around like the end of last year. Seizures of vessel Fitberg, the cables being cut. Incidents between Lithuania and Latvia. This is early January 2026. Let me see if I can get into this. Okay. I want to see what Stanislav has to say here.
But I wanted to speak with you about U.S. boots on the ground in Iran. But before we get to that, it's worth addressing this attack on this key Russian port on the Baltic Sea. more than 1,000 kilometers away for a drone to fly from Ukraine, even further if it avoids Belarus, which it did. So yet it appears to have entered from NATO territory through the Baltic states. How do you make sense of what has happened, and what do we actually know?
Well, it didn't appear. They did. In fact, two of those drones, one hit a power plant, a chimney of a power plant in Estonia, and one hit some other object in Latvia. So maybe they flew around from Ukraine through Poland and the Baltics, or maybe they lifted off from the pre-Baltics. I don't know. I'm betting closer they probably lifted off. Either way, even if they flew through, I mean, this isn't one or two drones. There's about 30, 40 drones that flew through. And this is not the first time. So either A, the Poles and the pre-Baltics are absolutely incompetent governments with incompetent security systems that anything can fly through their airspace and they don't give a damn or cannot control it. Or B, more likely, they're in on it. They are direct military engagement with Russia at this point. Unavoidable to come to that conclusion, especially the pre-Baltics, that they're direct participants in this war.
Well, we see that over the past few weeks or months, NATO's, well, more or less identified the objective of putting pressure on Russia. In order to do this, they're also very explicit. That is to go after the Russian economy, energy specifically. They're discussing seizing ships, confiscating oil is the new one. But attack from NATO territory, though, how is this affecting the sentiments or the pressure against the Kremlin to, I guess, change tactics? Because there seems to be some concern that more and more of, well, if it's not red lines, there's overstepping more and more lines, at least, of what we're not supposed to do. I mean, there's informal rules in any proxy war, what each side should be doing, and it appears that all rules are essentially tossed overboard.
Well, this isn't the first time this has happened. Let's be honest about it. 5 months ago, in the middle of Estonia, a drone came down, blew up, and Estonians tried to keep it quiet. The internet was still filled with photos that got leaked out of the shell crater where the drone hit. And I was carrying a large enough amount of explosives and the remains of that drone. The attack on Pskov Air Base did not come from Ukraine. It came from 47 kilometers away out of Estonia. I was on Evening with Vladimir Solovyov, which is one of the big shows, talk shows, political talk shows, and Vladimir himself, who is big in this, is one of the top people in this industry, is out there saying, we need to crack the heads of the Estonians, just as an example. Well, I say the same thing. There needs to be an example made. And Estonia is to call it anti-Russian or Russophobic well, that doesn't even describe half of the psychopathic hatred that drives these people. They are corrupted through and through. Consider Russians are about 50% of their country's population. Consider Narva, which is a 95% Russian city back from the 1200s, if not earlier. So you can't say these are people that are Soviet Union, but this is their excuse normally. Oh, these are immigrants from the Soviet Union forced upon us. Well, no, actually, you're holding Russian land. Get the hell off of Russian land in that case. The pre-Baltics, if we're going to begin with this, they're three absolutely artificial countries that did not exist until 1917 in any form that they ever exist as nation states. They are an artificial entities created by the collapse of the Soviet Union, first and foremost. Well, I'm sorry, the collapse of the Russian Empire, first and foremost. And then recreated by the collapse of the Soviet Union. If we're going to be honest about it, the land was purchased from the Swedes after we beat Charles the Great in Poltava. Peter the Great destroyed his armies, defeated Sweden, but to make it a little easier to swallow the defeat, he paid for the land that Russia conquered from the Swedes. And in that bill, by the way, there's no mention about population, but the land was transferred as a piece of real estate in those areas to Russia. So if we're going to go down that road, you can live here if you want, or you can leave, but the land belongs to Russia by purchase from Sweden.
Okay, so he's going to go into more things, but I wanted you all to hear that part because it's important what's going on in the Baltic region, because again, you never hear about any of this stuff. Okay, let's see. Well, hello, JC, and then I want to say hello to you all here. Imperial Eagle, Vigo, I guess that's how you say it. Thanks so much for joining me. As I said, I'm going through all this information that's important as far as from my point of view, through my lens. I hope you got a lot out of what I just put out here, so you are kind of up to par on everything. Thank you. Oh, yes, you're welcome. Vigo. Okay, now I am going back to a couple of clips from our saints. Actually, Father Elpidios and Elder Joseph. So let me see here. I'm going to remind about what he says on this issue. He says, he basically is talking about, he sees great disaster in many countries. He's talking about that if any country does not stay neutral, they're going to be destroyed by Russia, okay? Hello there, Dorothea from the UK. Hi, Safiel. Nice to see you as well. Great to see you from the UK. That's great seeing everybody from different places. So here he's warning, he regrets that Scandinavia will be destroyed. Well, as you know, we've got Sweden, Norway, and Finland, and they decided to get involved. And one of them is in NATO now, which was not a good move for them, I must say. He goes on to talk about that he feels sorry for Latvia's state. Now, Latvia is part of the Baltic states. And here we were talking about what's going on. Well, hello, Geopolitics. Oh, from Bulgaria. Welcome. Great to have you. So this is important. The Scandinavian countries that have really gotten involved, and then we have Latvia, Estonia, and all that. But I think what's important to show is what Elder Joseph had said on this. So I'm going to go back to that one and show you just a bit of that. Let's bring this up. Of course, you know, I'm always consulting the 7 phases of the war, as it's called in this. And you'll see here, it's very small, but I can still read it. Okay, it says that, well, we already know an attack by America and Israel against Iran is imminent. That has happened. That's been fulfilled. Then we have the war. Okay, so we have another war that's supposed to break out is in our neighborhood, meaning Greece, he's talking about. So Albanians, Croats, Bosnian, Muslims, Americans, and a few NATO members against the Orthodox in Russia and Serbia. We know about that. That's part of this as well, but gets into the whole thing with Russia and Turkey. But before that happens, it says Russia will have previously invaded Georgia, Ukraine, Armenia, Azerbaijan, pushing back the American troops. They will also invade the north, conquering all the Scandinavian countries, Finland, Norway, and Sweden, because while they seemingly maintain a neutral position, which we all know that they don't now, you know, I find that very interesting. A great strike against the Russian population will be planned from their lands. the destruction they will suffer will shock humanity. Lord have mercy. But you'll also notice that who else is involved in allowing their land to be used, right? Estonia, Latvia. The only one missing out of there is Lithuania, but yeah, that's that region there. So I'm not really sure Estonia is going to do very well. Stanislav said that Estonia is very anti-Russian. Well, I've done a lot of reports on that issue of, I will finish off this and then I'll get back into that, where I'm just going to read this part where it says that Russia will then invade Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Romania, and Moldova. The people of the Orthodox states at the Balkans, Serbs and Romanians, not the Bulgarians, will rise up and overthrow their corrupt governments, allying themselves with the Russians. Okay. But the Estonia thing is important. The Latvia thing is important because you have Father Elpidios talking about Latvia and the Scandinavian countries, and Elder Joseph doing the same. Although Estonia is not mentioned, I don't see how it cannot be. And like I said, I've done videos. There's a lot of persecution of the canonical Estonian Orthodox Church going on, has been for months, especially in the monastery there that's very known. So it's really horrible to see the divisions that are trying to be done by the evil one against his church, against Christ's church. So that is what I wanted to share on that portion. So you have these cable cords, whatever you want to call them, under the sea that are being cut that can affect communication, banks, all that other stuff. And then you have later that supposedly Russia is going to, before nuclear weapons can be used by America or Israel, Russia is supposed to, according to Elder Joseph, to neutralize that by an EMP. Well, we already have the issue with the cables, right? So that's going to be a problem. EMPs, well, that has to do more with energy of different type, like electricity and stuff, because it says an EMP requires a massive instantaneous release of electromagnetic energy. These are the two things. Get ready. Such as from a nuclear detonation or a solar storm. I'm not really sure what solar storms are, but it has something to do with the sun, right? But I can tell you this. Nuclear detonation, is that how Russia stops this the other nukes from happening, from Israel and America? What did you say, Vigo? Coronal mass ejections. I'm not sure what that actually means, but it's kind of scary when you think about it. But that is what would be what Elder Joseph is talking about, is the EMP. Well, those two things are pretty catastrophic events. I know Imperial Eagle has talked about things like this. I'm sure he's aware. I know you've been following how the weapons are going to be. Yeah. My son was talking to me about this today. He thinks that some meteor is going to come down in the middle of our country, but it means the sun spits out a mass amount of energy that's hurling it toward the earth. Yes. 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 That's what my son was talking about. He goes, gee, I wonder, we hear about the San Andreas fault and we hear about the volcano in Yellowstone, but what if it's a meteor that comes down in the middle of our country or on somewhere in the water? He said would be worse because the tsunami waves would come up. That's what he was thinking about, because something's going to happen with America, right? So thank you, Imperial, for explaining that. God willing, may that never happen. Yes, God willing, we've been praying on it. I read about the meteor. JC, you said you read about that. Yeah. So I don't know if you all caught the meteor from a week ago that came down in Ohio, a city in Ohio. That was quite something. The effect of it shook the earth. Yeah, I would rather die from a meteor than a nuke. Well, yeah, yeah, that's not good. 78 hours ago, a major figure in the UN resigned due to nuclear weapons going to be used in Iran very soon. Thank you, Imperial. Medvedev of Russia confirmed it all. Yes, I just heard from Ted Postal, the guy that keeps an eye on weapons and nuclear weapons specifically. He was talking to, I think, Glenn Deason. I didn't watch the whole thing. He had a whole set, but basically what he's saying is Iran has a way to deter, stop nuclear weapons from landing. They have some kind of defense on that. I don't know, but he supposedly, and then of course he said that they are right on the cusp of having their own nuclear weapons themselves. Now, of course, we all wish that nuclear weapons didn't exist at all. That would be nice. And what really would be nice also, on the same step, I've always said that biological and chemical weapons are just evil. They're horrendous. I think they're just really horrible what they do. But all weapons do horrible things, but there's just certain ones that really bother me. Nukes and those, okay? There's definitely other ones that are bad, but yeah, it's not good stuff. So that is the update on the war issue. As I will add a few other things. Desalination plant. I think it was in Kuwait. I think. Don't quote me on it. That Iran was targeting different areas because of the fact that Israel keeps doing this. You'll notice this, that every time Trump says something, and boy, Trump has been saying some weird things, but even when he says, oh yeah, we're working out things, which is really, really not happening. But he says these things, and then right after that, Israel goes ahead and does what he said that they weren't going to do. Okay. Because Israel has its own agenda. They're going to do what they want to do. I don't know how they're going to survive this. I really don't think they are going to survive this, to be honest. Let's see. JC says, this is where I read about the meteor, the eschaton visions of the blessed end times prophecies. Okay, yeah. I have a book on that, but I think it's the one for, I didn't really want the Antichrist one. I wanted just like the regular prophecies. I really don't want to be thinking about the Antichrist. It's just me. Okay, Imperial says, did you see that Turkey has now stated emphatically they will get involved if ground troops are placed in Iran on the side of Iran they will take, of course. Yes. Yes. Again, that's going to be another Israel, it digs its own grave by trying to do all this when they're surrounded by countries that don't like them. And there's reasons why they don't like them. And I'm not saying the Gulf Arab states are great. Okay. They're very corrupt. They have their own. I mean, look at Saudi Arabia. They're the ones that pump out all these Islamic terrorists. Okay. As well as Qatar. Okay. They sponsor all of those. I'm just saying that if I were in that region, I wouldn't be trying to do something like that. But again, it's this view that they own the land. Now, let me see what else here. I read it last year on flight back from Romania to Bahrain. Yeah. Is that from the Eschaton Visual, JC? Yeah, it is. I have one of their books, but I don't know if it's the one you're talking about. I have that. Is that because the one I have seems to be all about the Antichrist? I would like to read ones before that. I'm not really dying to read about the Antichrist. That's just me. I try to avoid it, like I said. It's a Jewish sect, not all the Jays. Unfortunately, this sect is ruling Israel. Yes. Yeah, exactly. The extremists are in power. Let's see. Now, that's what I have on the war part. And I think it's a main. Oh, I didn't even finish. I was going to say Israel hit one of Iran's universities. Okay, now Iran says Trump, you need to condemn the strike on our university. Otherwise, we'll be hitting your universities. Now, they've already, brought that up. I don't know if Trump's done anything about that. I do know that they've hit whatever Israel hits, Iran reciprocates. Okay. Now, nobody wants the desalinization plants to go because people will die. I mean, it's terrible. Especially in that arid, sandy area. There's not much water. Water is like, it's life. It's so important. Oh, hi, Wally. I'm Ina. Wally's wife. Okay, Australia. Well, great to see ya. We know the nuns in the Holy Land. Yes. Please, let's pray for them. Mother Agabia, who was on Tucker Carlson, is from the Holy Land. Yes, yes. JC says, this one I have has prophecies from various saints, not specifically focusing on that. Okay, well, I need to find that book. I'm going to get into the Holy Sepulchre now because there's some issues going on there. The Patriarch of Jerusalem, and I think it was a joint one, sent the Israeli government a few days ago. You need to open up the church. We have the Holy Week coming. We have the Holy Fire thing that's big to us. And they were waiting for a reply. Apparently, the Israeli government said, "Oh yes, we're going to help you find out ways to transfer the Holy Fire out." We'll see. The last thing I heard was on Palm Sunday. The Latin Patriarch, they could not get in for their Palm Sunday into Holy Sepulchre for their Palm Sunday service. They were locked out. I think it's important, Tucker was asking a Catholic bishop, I didn't know that the Israeli government owned the Holy Sepulchre. Well, they don't. It's owned actually by the Jerusalem Patriarchate, aka the Greek Orthodox Patriarchate in Jerusalem under Theophilus III, or a third. And there's three groups that usually are doing services in there. I think it's the Armenian, Catholic, and Orthodox. And who holds the keys usually to the Holy Sepulchre so that there's not too many arguments going on between these three these three groups? Well, it's a Muslim family. It's not an Israeli family. It's not the Israeli police. It's not the Israeli government. Well, somehow that changed. A lot of what I'm reading is many non-agapia. This Catholic bishop is not really sure on this. A lot of them do not believe that the church is closed because of security reasons. Apparently, there was still some synagogues that were open. There was other things going on. So non-agapia said that, look, that's a safe place to be because they have underground, like lower levels where people could use as bunkers in the church. And of course, where else would you want to be but in a church during times, and it was open the whole time during World War I and II and all that. It has not, so for centuries, the patriarch of the Latin Patriarchate said, this is centuries that we haven't been able to get in. This is the first time in centuries, nothing has happened like this. So they were very upset. So of course, the Western world got riled up and told the Israeli government, you better open up that church. How dare you? How disrespectful. So you had people like Meloni from Italy and Macron from France and, other groups of people, even Huckabee. But, Huckabee had a very tepid response. Oh, that's a bit of an overreach. I don't know why he calls himself a Christian. I know that sounds really judgmental and horrible. But I think what you should be more concerned about is your Christian brethren who can't get into their own churches. All right. Let's see what we have here. I'd like to read the one new, let me get rid of that. Let's see. JC says, I'd like to read the one you mentioned as well. Yeah, God bless her, says Vigo. Vigo is talking to Ina about that. God bless her. Okay, so Stephen says, if I can chime in here, from prior military training, nuclear, biological, chemical, electromagnetic pulse is the first effect of a nuclear detonation at fissure detonation. The radius of EMP is 10 times that of heat and subsequent blast traditionally. Ah, very good to know, Stephen. You are a fountain of information, I must say. He always has so much to share that's so important, so vital. Everybody, you all share such stuff that it really helps me. All of you have such wonderful information. Let's see. Yeah, Mother Agapia. Yeah, sounds like an excuse to keep the holy light from happening. Yes, I'm thinking about that now. They're saying that now the Israeli government is saying now that, oh no, we're going to open up the church now. We've opened it up. It's going to be open, which should have happened for the Western Church on Palm Sunday. There's no excuse for them not to have been able to do a small little group. They were only going to do like 4 clergy with a live stream. They weren't even bringing in the faithful. Okay. I thought that was not good. Well, my concern is this is the Holy Week for the Western Church, so the Catholics and the Protestants. And the West is keeping eyes on this, right, for their holiday, their Holy Week and their Easter. What happens the next week when it's our Holy Week and Pascha? Do we really trust that they're going to do what they're supposed to do? Because, that doesn't really usually make news about what's going on with the Orthodox. So there's a little concern there. Now, I am not thinking, I have this feeling, miracle as always happens. It'd be a very interesting miracle in this sense. But let me see, what does it say? Okay. Stephen, the effect of high altitude EMP or air burst knocks out all electronics. Okay. Okay, thank you. JC says, I was wondering what God will do. One time the Orthodox were prevented. The light shot out from the pillar at the entrance. I am sure you all have seen pictures. Yes, that's when the Armenian patriarch was trying to, or the Armenian bishop was trying to do, to receive the light. And yeah, they couldn't do it. Christ conquers. That's right. Says Mia Stupid. Vigo, I wonder if they didn't try pulling this stunt last year when the East and West celebrated Pascha at the same time. I didn't hear anything that happened last year, but again, what excuse would they have used? Because there wasn't that war going on then that they're using, all these missiles that the Iranians are hitting trying to hit the church. Well, they're not, because the Iranians don't want to hit holy sites because they have their own mosque, their own Muslim sites, and they respect Christianity. So there's a different world inside the Palestinian area that people don't seem to understand, as well as Syria, that the Christians and the Muslims are pretty close because of they're under one occupier. And under times when there's, like right now in Syria, we have that head chopper. So they've always had that. If you read back on Syria during the Syrian war, civil war, our bishops talked about their brotherhood with everybody was very connected, and that's why it was harder to destroy Syria, is because the people came together. So I'm just putting that out there. Let's see. Sounds like, yeah. Many thanks to in Christ. Okay, let's see. Where am I? Yeah, we'll see what happens. Because the calendars were aligned, yes. But nothing, I didn't hear anything that happened. Yeah, this has been built up over the past year, though, since Trump went into office. Yes. It feels to me, and this is just me and my, it feels to me that like something evil is trying to be done against Christ's church and the celebration of his resurrection, his crucifixion, resurrection, especially his resurrection. Because when I was listening to this Catholic bishop on Tucker's show, he was saying, these people are afraid of the truth. The truth is Christ, which is true. They don't want Christ to conquer, right? Let's see. Let's see. Revelation. Oh, it says Stravula says Revelation 2.9, Revelation 3.9. Ina, one of the nuns from Holy Land, told us recent government 72 hours rescue plan for all specifically is for rebuilding temple in Jerusalem. Yes, there is that worry, because I read an article a while ago of this rabbi that just because Tucker Carlson brought up this this weird idea of the third temple and the red heifers and all that, he said, "Oh, well, that's our trigger to do this. When some random, when you hear random things in the news, that means we're supposed to build our temple." So yeah, there is that issue. Mia Stupid says last year they were pushing priests inside the church, and the uniformed policemen in black entered into the first part of the tomb with the patriarch the year before. Yeah. And then, of course, during COVID, it was not good. The 72 hours plan is on internet for government website. I see. Okay. So they're saying in 72 hours, whatever the rescue plan for all specifically is for rebuilding. So what does that mean? They're going to start trying to build. Now, isn't there a mosque that's on top of this Solomon's supposed temple there is a mosque on there. So Vigo says, I wouldn't put it past them to let the other Christianities have their Pascha while keeping it from Holy Orthodoxy. The fire only appeared. Yes, that's what I'm concerned about, because there's no miracle, obviously Christ's resurrection, all that, but tangible miracle happening with the Western churches going through their process. It's they do walk with Christ, they do all that, but there's not that holy fire, the Holy Spirit that happens during Pascha. And I just have a feeling the evil one is working against using these people against his church to do something. The issue is, well, the problem is, you can't stop Christ. You can't stop the Holy Spirit. Christ has already conquered the world, and nobody's going to be able to do that. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, I don't think the fire's not going to light, because it should. Now, I don't know if you know this prophecy. My own bishop, he just retired a few years ago, said that if the holy light does not light, that means that we're on the precipice of the Antichrist's reign. So let's hope that's not going to happen. Let's see. Mia says, the year before that, they arrested the Greek deputy foreign minister's guard. I see. Well, that was still going on with all the Gaza thing and everything. So yeah, they were already being belligerent and all that. So yeah, not really. I mean, it's just kind of surprising to see this, but I guess we shouldn't be surprised because of everything that's happening. It's on video. Okay. It's on video. All right. But everybody believes it's going to light, right? You all have faith that Christ is going to figure that out, right? Yeah, I've seen that coming for a while, says Vigo. And Eagle, okay. Yeah. So if anybody has any other questions on anything I brought up that you might want to talk about, or, share your thoughts on, let me know. I shared a lot of information today with what's happening in the war. More countries seem to be getting involved, which is not strange because of the prophecies and because, Metropolitan Heifers said this would be a regional war. I mean, we never know what happens when wars start. So then it always comes out to be something you didn't really bank on, Hey, Zoe. Yeah, Izzy's literally manhandled the guard and marched him out. It was a big spectacle. Oh, boy. Yeah, it is kind of irritating that our churches are under this occupation where they can't do things. But again, Orthodoxy has a history of being oppressed and going through persecutions and struggles. So I'm sure, does everybody agree that the light will happen no matter what, right? They kept him under arrest for 4 days, 4 hours. Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah. It's not good what's happening, but I do think it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens, because our Holy Week, well, our Palm Sunday is next Sunday, and I'm really curious, even with that portion of being able to do the Sunday service. They may even allow that to make it sound like it's good, that they're doing everything fine. Oh yes, you can come in for the Palm Sunday service, right? Oh yeah, go ahead and do your services all week. But then they may come to excuse for the actual Saturday Holy Fire service. Don't know. Yeah. Victory eternal in Christ, our King and our God. That's right. Christ is risen. Truly is risen. Yeah. So people forget that Christ has the power. God has the power. So we'll keep an eye out, won't we, on what happens. And I don't think this war is going to end any sooner, because you even have the Rubio saying, "Oh, it'll be a couple more months." But this actually again lines up with prophecy, doesn't it? It go through the summer. I don't think the ground invasion, the ground war is going to go well at all, but I think it's not going to be good for the Americans. And I don't think Trump's going to be able to hide what happens. So we'll keep an eye out. We know that Russia is very much backing Iran right now. I think they're even on the brink of getting involved. So, I mean, more than what they are doing. And of course, prophecy shows that they will. I'm just wondering what's going to happen up there in the Baltic and all those other regions that they're busy in right now. How that's all going to come about. How that's going to come about. So, well, anything else for y'all? Any other questions? Any thoughts that you want to share from what I shared? Yeah. Do any of you guys, if you are in Europe, prepare with food and stuff? Yeah. Well, that reminds me. What's his name? Alexander Mercouris, if you know him from the Duran, was just saying the other day, he's in the UK. He is saying that they're already starting to ration things there. And you're in the UK, one of you here. Yes, we have. There you are. Safael. So that's not good, but that's what's going on. Oh, look, there's Nico. He's come on the chat, my son. He says, I was learning there is a difference between EMPs and HEMPs. Maybe worth looking into. Stephen, if you're still here, give me some information. The information king on that. Vigo says, how many Orthodox Americans do you think will go fight? I have some parishioners in active service at my church. Yeah. Please pray for them and for me. Yeah. Oh, are you in the military, Vigo? You know, I am in I'm in the Springs, Colorado Springs. So there's 4 bases here. There's the Air Force Academy, which is not really base, but Air Force Academy. We have the Army base. Man, I just forgot the name. I think it's, oh, well, it just slipped my mind, but there's the big Army base here. Okay. And then there's Peterson, which is the Air Force base. And then there's the Space Force base, Schriever, which is out in the boondocks in the east. Let's see. Mia says, Neil Oliver was talking about that with an Irish author on a video interview last week about the rationing. Army is a post. Yes, that's right. That's right. You are right. Armies are posts. Navy, Air Force are bases. You are right, Imperial Eagle. That is right. There's that Army post is huge, by the way. And for some reason, I've lost the name of it. And I don't know why, because it's like, I mean, it's one of the biggest Army base posts in the area. But maybe it'll come to me. Why do I keep saying Evans? That's not it. Oh, that's probably the hospital that's there, but it's not the name of the base. I mean, the post. See, I have a habit. I'm Air Force child. Yeah. Carson, there. Thank you. I don't know why I couldn't remember that name. Fort Carson. It's a really nice post. It was a really nice post there because I went on the post once when my friend had surgery there several years ago, and really nice housing and everything. I was quite impressed. Let's see. JC. Matthew 16:18. On this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades shall not prevail against it. No matter what they do, the church is unconquerable. Yes, glory be to the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. That is right. Vigo, I think you might be missing some messages. Top messages hides a lot of them. Oh, what other message should I have? Oh, Vigo, you were asking how many. I don't know. We have a lot of bases here, but this is the evangelical capital. So I don't know how many are actually Orthodox in the military here. Oh, you might get conscripted. Oh, I see, Vigo. Okay. You know what Colonel Wilkerson said on that? He goes, if they try to do the conscription, all the young people are going to flee to Mexico and Canada. There's not going to be anybody because they don't want to they don't want to go into this war that's not even worth fighting for. Let's see. I was in the Navy, but my father is retired U.S. Army Green Beret. Hence, the distinction between bases and posts have been drilled into. Yes, same for me, and I don't know why I was saying that. Just habit, I guess. Yeah. My like I said, my dad was in 30 years, and he would have continued if he would have made general, but he was in JAG. Okay, so Judge Advocate General Office. He was a judge and everything. So let's see. Vigo says Trump himself was a draft dodger for Vietnam, so we'll see how he'll address criticisms of a looming draft. Yes. Imperial Eagle says, I always say, don't thank me. Thank those who never made it back. Yes. And, they go in because they want to serve their country. They want to do something good for people. It's not, and then of course there's the groups that go in there because they need to get an education and it's cheaper and things like that. But yeah, I think that I think it's different now. I think the military is waking up to they're not fighting the wars that are about defending our country, and that's important. How would you be serving your country in Iran? Yeah, exactly. Wow, that's great, Imperial. You has direct military service in every single war of the U.S. You know, that reminds me of, you remember Lieutenant Dan from Forrest Gump? Every one of his ancestors, you know, were in all the wars. But yeah, it made me think of that. But yeah, that's something else. Lieutenant Dan, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think they're waking up to this. Obviously, there's that the unnamed elders prophecy that says, you know, the military eventually after the uprising here, which we obviously can see that happening with everything that's going on. But the uprising after that, the military is going to round up the Congress and the government, which sounds like a military coup. So I think the military is, yeah, they're not going to be as willing as they have before, especially with the history. So we'll see. Okay, well, I've been on for over an hour. I gotta wrap this up, people. That's the release of the movie Civil War. Oh, is that a new one? I haven't caught that one, but when I was young, a teenager, I watched North and South. That's a miniseries. But anyway, it was interesting. And I'll have to see. Is this a new release? The Civil War one? I'm so behind on movies. It's not even funny. It takes me forever. Last year, okay, yeah. I usually catch up in a decade. I'll be like, oh, I just saw The Book Thief, 3 months ago. You just saw The Book Thief? After all, yeah, I just saw it. Oh, it's about a coup d'etat. Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, guys. It's getting late here. But I take so much, your engagement has been great. I learned so much from you all with all your knowledge and helping to bring together what I reported. You all are able to find the pieces to tie together and make it even stronger, what this story is about. I am very grateful to you all. You all are wonderful, supportive subscribers. I thank you all for all you do. Maybe Nicholas will be around next year, but did anybody answer the HEMP, HEMP, as opposed to the EMP? Did anybody answer that one? Oh, he said, Vigo says, is a bloodless coup too wishful thinking at this point? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Does anybody know the difference between an EMP okay. So Nico comes on and says high altitude EMP. So that's what that HEMP is. Aha, that makes sense. Okay. Thank you for thank you, Sophia. I'm so glad you made it. The UK is I like to watch the videos of people walking in different towns, and the UK's towns are just so quaint. Anyway, so we found out the answer to that. Glory to God. I'll keep you informed, of course, on what happens throughout the week on certain things, whatever videos I put forth. And again, I appreciate you. We are just outside Cambridge. Oh, okay. Nice. Wow. You all are, as I said, what a blessing. And I thank you all for your participation. Again, it really makes a difference than just me saying something and having people share and bounce off their ideas. It really is helpful. I really appreciate it. So I guess it's time to wrap up. I hope you all have a great morning, afternoon, night, wherever you are. And I'll do this again, I'm sure, in a week, because the war is still going on. So, and maybe Nico will be back next week. Many thanks again, and have a blessed Lent. Yes, Godspeed. Yes, rest of the Lent. It's coming down to the. Have a good evening. Yes, you all take care. God bless you all. Blessed day of resurrection. Keep going. You know, keep close to Christ. That's the most important thing in this whole thing. Stay close to Christ and his church. All right. God bless you all. Until next time.